It's good to see you having so much interaction and joy. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield. My name is Mary Jane Lipinski, and I'm grateful to be part of a community that helps nurture my deepest held values. UUFN is an inclusive community that nurtures spiritual and intellectual growth and fosters ethical and social responsibility. If you are a visitor, either online or on site, we are glad you're with us and invite you to stay after the service to get acquainted. We welcome your questions and look forward to getting to know you. For those online, toward the end of the service, we will be participating in a strawberry meditation. At some point before then, if you're able to get a small, delicious treat to have next to you during the service, go grab one, maybe a strawberry or another piece of fruit or a piece of chocolate or whatever sounds good when you go to your kitchen. For me, that's cookies always. If you're not able to do this, that's just fine too. I call your attention to the announcements in your order of service and weekly email. There you'll find more information about the following: an online sign-up form for new and existing ways to get involved in UUFN, coffee with the minister this Wednesday and next, a listening session about religious education next week. Join us next Sunday for Organizing for Climate Justice. Following this remarkable legislative session, we are on our way to building a local renewable economy that supports communities living in right relationship with the land. The Reverend Terry Borner, a UU minister on staff with Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, will invite us to join the Green Road, grounded in our values and our quest for equity and justice in Minnesota. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield.
Thank you, Taylor. Good morning, all. I am the Reverend Sarah Smalley, minister of the UU Fellowship of Northfield. It is good to be together today, and we especially welcome those joining us online from Michael Servetus Unitarian Society. Your minister, Reverend Laura, is a dear mentor and friend of mine, and I am grateful our congregations can be connected in this way today. Our opening words are by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Come in, all who long to know how to love this world, how to keep eyes open, hands unclenched, arms wide, breathing deeply, in and out. This is a time to practice, because there is still so much good and beauty and joy, but it can be hard to keep telling this tale with all the news and the wind and the rain and the trembling earth. Who wants to love this life anyway? Come in, all who teeter on this edge of cynicism, brokenhearted and still trying to remember laughter and kindness, and the chance to be alive in these days when so much is at stake. In this place, we remind each other why we persist, giving each other courage to take this path that is not always easy, to keep practicing this love that cannot and will not let us go and still calls us on. Come, let us worship together.
The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Each Sunday when we gather, we bring this symbol of life together. Please join me in speaking the words for the lighting of the chalice. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, number 38 in the gray hymnal.
Our story today is from Pema Chodron, a Tibetan Buddhist nun. This is adapted from her book, The Wisdom of No Escape and the Path of Loving Kindness. This is a story that begins with a woman running away from tigers. She runs and runs, and the tigers are getting closer and closer. When she comes to the edge of a cliff, she sees some vines there, so she climbs down and holds on to the vines. Whew, safe. And then she looks down and sees tigers at the bottom of the cliff as well. She grasps more tightly to the vine and notices just above her a mouse gnawing away at the vine to which she is clinging. And then she sees a little bunch of strawberries close to her, growing out of a clump of grass. She looks up, she looks down, she looks at the mouse, then she takes a strawberry, puts it in her mouth, and enjoys it thoroughly. Pema Chodron explains, tigers above, tigers below. This is actually the predicament that we are always in terms of our birth and death. Each moment is just what it is. It might be the only moment of our life. It might be the only strawberry we'll ever eat. We could get depressed about it, or we could finally appreciate it and delight in the preciousness of every single moment of our lives. Let us delight in the preciousness of this moment as we move into our time of joys and sorrows, bringing our attention fully to this space. I invite you to allow yourself an unhurried breath. Relax your shoulders. Inhale and exhale, and let your heart catch up with you. Rest in the embrace of a wider love. In the presence of this love that holds us all, we use our chalice flame to light our candles of community. We light our first candle as a blessing for the wider world. On Friday, the United States approved providing Ukraine with cluster munitions for the first time. Cluster munitions may help bring about the end of the war in Ukraine more quickly, and they will inevitably kill civilians, including children. We light this candle as a desperate, fervent prayer for peace. We know, too, that the details of our daily lives are sacred and important. We now light a candle for all of the simple joys that are sustaining us. And we light another candle in honor of the sorrows and hardships we may be facing. One more candle in honor of the sorrows and joys we carry in our hearts, but that have not been spoken out loud. And we move into a time of silence. May the truth of your heart be reflected in these flames. The words of Louise Erdrich. Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that, and being alone won't either, for solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It is the reason you are here on earth. You have to risk your heart. You are here to be swallowed up. And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes too near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself that you tasted as many as you could. May it be so.
Our reading today is from Robin Kimmerer's Braiding Sweetgrass. Some of you may be familiar with this beautiful book, filled with indigenous wisdom and stories about what plants have to teach us. This is an excerpt from the chapter entitled The Gift of Strawberries. In a way, I was raised by strawberries, fields of them. White petals with a yellow center, like a little wild rose, they dotted the acres of curl grass in May during flower moon. We kept good track of them, peeking under the trifoliate leaves to check their progress as we ran through on our way to catch frogs. After the flower finally dropped its petals, a tiny green nub appeared in its place, and as the days got longer and warmer, it swelled to a small white berry. These were sour, but we ate them anyway, impatient for the real thing. You could smell ripe strawberries before you saw them, the fragrance mingling with the smell of sun on damp ground. It was the smell of June and the strawberry moon. I'd lie on my stomach in my favorite patches, watching the berries grow sweeter and bigger under the leaves. Each tiny wild berry was scarcely bigger than a raindrop, dimpled with seeds under the cap of leaves. From that vantage point, I could pick only the reddest of the red, leaving the pink ones for tomorrow. Even now, after more than 50 strawberry moons, finding a patch of wild strawberries still touches me with a sensation of surprise, a feeling of unworthiness and gratitude for the generosity and kindness that comes with an unexpected gift, all wrapped in red and green. Really, for me? Oh, you shouldn't have. After 50 years, they still raise the question of how to respond to their generosity. Sometimes it feels like a silly question with a very simple answer: eat them. But I know that someone else has wondered the same things. In our creation stories, the origin of strawberries is important. Sky Woman's beautiful daughter, whom she carried in her womb from Sky World, grew on the good green earth, loving and loved by all the other beings. But tragedy befell her when she died giving birth to her twins, Flint and Sapling. Heartbroken, Sky Woman buried her beloved daughter in the earth. Her final gifts, our most revered plants, grew from her body. The strawberry arose from her heart. In Potawatomi, the strawberry is Ode Min, the heartberry. We recognize them as the leaders of the berries, the first to bear fruit. Strawberries first shaped my view of a world of gifts simply scattered at your feet. A gift comes to you through no action of your own, free, having moved toward you without your beckoning. It's not a reward. You cannot earn it or call it to you or even deserve it. And yet it appears your only role is to be open-eyed and present. We will now take our offering. Our offering is one way we make our care of the world tangible. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Makotse Ikikupi Land Recovery. Makotse Ikikupi, meaning land recovery, is a project of reparative justice on Dakota land in Minnesota, Makotse, Minnesota. In their words, the Makotse Ikikupi project seeks to bring some of our relatives home, reestablish our spiritual and physical relationship with our homeland, and ensure the ongoing existence of our people. Our cultural survival depends on it. Dakota people were systematically dispossessed of their homeland and currently reside on about 1/100% of their original land base within the borders of what is now the state of Minnesota. This work is a positive action to help repair the most fundamental harm of settler colonialism, indigenous disconnection from the land. You may donate by cash, check, made out to UUFN with offering basket in the memo line or online from our website, uunorthfield.org. You can scroll down to the bottom of the homepage for the link. We now gratefully accept the offering.
When I first read that story of the tigers and the strawberries many years ago, I thought it was one of the worst stories I had ever read. I was the mother of 2 young children at the time, grieving the death of my father, with whom I had a complicated relationship, and becoming the caretaker of my mother, who had Alzheimer's. My lifelong struggle with depression and anxiety was raging. Tigers above, tigers below, tigers within. I was overwhelmed and exhausted and sad. And upon reading that story in a short book of Buddhist wisdom, I wanted to scream, "Are you kidding me? My life is imploding, and you want me to eat strawberries? Do you see how awful things are? Strawberries aren't going to make everything magically better. And even if they could, I don't have time for strawberries. I am barely hanging on." As Anna Tulo says, just knowing something is within arm's reach doesn't make it easy to reach for. I think one of the reasons I reacted so negatively to the tiger and strawberry story the first time I read it was because it felt like it could be twisted into toxic positivity or spiritual gaslighting. I was not only feeling overwhelmed, I was expending significant energy hiding my struggles from the world and honestly not even wanting to confront them myself. And if I had shared some of those struggles, and in the midst of my despair, someone had said, yes, but have you considered strawberries? It would not have been comforting. I would have felt pressure to put on a happy face and count my blessings, nothing to see here, just me and my strawberries choosing joy. Eventually, the story went from being one of the worst I ever heard to one of the best. I have come back to it again and again, year after year, and always find something new there. You may have an entirely different interpretation of that story than I offer here today, which is why these sorts of stories are magical. We find in them what we most need to hear. For me, the significance of this story deepened when I was in a UU Wellspring spiritual journey group. During the year we met, some members of the group were dealing with terminal illnesses for themselves and loved ones. Others shared stories of addiction and long-carried pain. I spoke out loud my grief about my father's death and my mother's dementia. For one of our sessions, we read that tiger and strawberry story, and we couldn't stop talking about it. It became our through line. Life is hard. Strawberries are delicious, we would say. We'd laugh and cry at its simple wisdom. Life is hard. Strawberries are delicious. There are a lot of ways of telling the tiger and strawberry story, but I love the one we shared today of Pema Chodron's because it underscores this way of being open to the full scope of reality. The woman in the story, after noticing the strawberry, looks up and sees tigers, looks down and sees more tigers. She sees the mouse gnawing the vine, and then she reaches for the strawberry. She sees the hurts of the past clearly. She knows the future holds loss. She recognizes we have a tenuous hold on life. But tucked into that moment is also a gift she did not earn or deserve, but that simply appeared, a strawberry, Ode Min, the heart berry. And then she, and may I be her, makes a choice. She chooses to loosen her grip just a little in order to meet joy where it grows. She quite literally picks joy in that moment. She doesn't ignore the tigers, but she also doesn't ignore the strawberries. Again, the words of Anna Tullo. When one is clinging to that proverbial vine and all paths promise pain, to open oneself up to beauty and tap into joy is not an act of denial. I have had times of extreme grief and loss, tigers above, tigers below, and nestled in the thick of the fear and tension and urgency, there would be these glistening, succulent, sweet moments. A well-timed and thoroughly inappropriate joke that brings laughter like cool water after days of thirst. That friend or relative that dropped everything to surprise you with their company. How raindrops can cling to the petals of a purple iris, rendering its beauty close to inconceivable. That song that hits at just the right moment, that makes your heart swell and then break and mend all at once. The smell of wisteria, the blue of a robin's egg, the taste of a perfect strawberry. More and more, I'm also thinking about how this story isn't just a story about me or about you, but about us. Our world is hanging on by a thread. In the words of Reverend Joan Montagnes, it is time to leave the illusion of comfort behind. The tigers are there. Wake up to the real and deadly racism that is all around, the refugee crisis that is on our front door and around the globe, climate change, xenophobic policies. We have arrived at the crisis, the hinge moment in our history. We have been chased by the tigers. We've jumped off the cliff. We are hanging from the vine, and there are mice nibbling away. Where, oh, where is the sweet, sweet strawberry? Our work is loving this world. Reverend Montagnes concludes. Our work is loving this world. Not some theoretical world, but this world, this one, filled with disappointments and horrors, as Brian Andreas says. Anyone can slay a dragon, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero. It's become a spiritual practice of mine to look for strawberry moments where beauty breaks through amid the struggle, as a way to more fully love this broken and beautiful world of ours and this broken and beautiful life of mine. And here's what I want to tell you today. We have strawberries in abundance here. Offers of help after surgeries or falls in the parking lot. A new and lovingly handcrafted pulpit cloth holding our candles of joys and sorrows that burn so brightly. Zoom screens that connect us across miles and congregations. The laughter that breaks through over the sounds of coffee hour, and the tears that are shed when we no longer pretend everything is fine, that are met with grace. Difficult but kind conversations that bring us closer to each other and closer to our own flawed, precious selves. We have strawberries in abundance here, an entire strawberry patch. Our work is loving the world, and our work is loving each other. And so, let us offer each other strawberries today, creating our very own, very real strawberry moment in this moment with these people. Here's how it will work. I will start with in person and then I'll talk to online folks. For those in the sanctuary, we will be passing bowls of strawberries. When the bowl comes to you, bring your full attention to it. Notice the hand offering you strawberries. Pluck a strawberry from the bowl like the gift it is. Then become the hand offering the strawberries to another. We don't know when the person we're passing a strawberry to is clinging to a vine barely hanging on. Once you have your strawberry, hold it without eating it just yet until everyone has theirs. If strawberries are not your thing and you do not want to eat one for whatever reason, or if you are online and don't have a strawberry next to you, of course that is okay. Strawberries can simply be a metaphor for savoring the sweetness of this life. If you're online and have a little treat next to you, draw it near now as you prepare to savor it well. If you are in person and don't want a strawberry, imagine plucking a bite of your favorite food and pass the bowl along. Feel free to adjust this experience to meet your needs. Again, as strawberries are passed down the rows, please take one and wait. Just hold it without tasting it as the fruit makes its way around to everyone. Bless this moment with your silent attention. Look at your strawberry. Smell it if you haven't already. Imagine how people talking to each other in Spanish and English watered it, tended to it, and harvested it, that we may be blessed by this sweetness. These are not commodities. These are gifts. Tigers above us, tigers below us, and yet the strawberry. Our work is loving this world. Won't you take this ripe berry you are holding and bite into it? Life is hard. Strawberries are delicious. As with the woman in the story, that was thoroughly enjoyable. For now, those in the sanctuary, you can set your toothpick aside for a moment and we'll collect them at the end of the service. It is these moments that soften our hearts and help us feel open enough to let awe, joy, beauty, and gratitude in. May we continue to savor our lives on this miraculous planet. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, For the Earth Forever Turning, number 163. You may be seated for our closing blessing from Sarah Moores Campbell. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. May we make it so. May we move boldly into the unknown, and may your days be filled with strawberry moments, blessed with an abundance of beauty and joy growing all around. We join together in the words for the extinguishing of our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit, and with your hands over your heart, or holding the hand of those next to you, or whatever posture is most comfortable, we sing words of blessing one to another. Go in peace, eat strawberries. Online folks, you may stay for some conversation as well.
When the music stops, we'll be able to chat.